UFC returns to Montreal, Quebec, Canada for the first time in over 10 years this weekend, as last time around they brought a flyweight title fight between Demetrius Johnson and Kyoji Horiguchi. Co-main eventing was Quinton Rampage Jackson and Fabio Maldonado, but this time they doubled up on the gold as they are bringing two title fights. In the co-main event, we have flyweight queen Valentina Shevchenko looking to begin her second reign as flyweight champion as she defends against Manon Fiorot, who will surely be buoyed by a pro-French crowd as this fight obviously taking place in Montreal. And then in the main event, we got welterweight champion Belal Muhammad looking to defend his title for the first time against Jack Della Maddalena. Decent card overall, pay-per-view worthy. Maybe not due to the lack of star power there, but still a fight card that should surely deliver on some violence. Got Jose Aldo on the card as well. Mike Malott always brings the fun. Very much looking forward to this card. Reminder, this is a quick picks version of the UFC 315 breakdown. Earlier this week, I dropped the full card breakdown where I went nearly an hour talking about the 11 fights that were originally scheduled for the card. So if you want to get in-depth breakdowns and not just the quick tidbits that I'm going to be dropping for this segment, check out the MMA Lockcast, link in the description below, or just check out the YouTube page and you can find it on the channel there. All right. Hope you're laced up and ready to go because we're off and running with the first fight of the night between Brad Katona and Beksat Almakhan. I believe this is a fight that Katona can start showcasing that he's been underachieving in his last few fights. I think we'll see his pace, fight IQ, and defensive grappling keep this fight in the striking realm where he should be able to start dictating the pace with his striking advantage and maybe even mixing in a few of his grappling chops to go out there and put together a better body of work to get the decision victory over Beksat Almakhan. Next up, we got Jung Young Lee going up against Daniel Santos. We've seen tremendous line movement on Lee over the last few days, who has gone from plus 160 down to the minus 115 favorite, and I believe that is perfectly justifiable. I think he's the slicker and better striker here, and I think we'll see him have learned from that last matchup against Haider Emil to be a little bit more reserved rather than just teeing off on his opponents. I think he'll be able to be the slicker counter striker, shut down any grappling game that Santos might look to implement, land more damage over the course of 15 minutes, and win this fight on the scorecards. Next up, we got Marc-Andre Barriault going up against Bruno Silva, a fight between two guys that are very flaky at this stage of their career. Whether it's Barriault's durability not holding up for him or Bruno Silva having too much anxiety and not showing up to fights, I think it's very difficult to have too much confidence on either side here. But I'm going to lean on Silva landing that big shot on Barriault within a round and a half and eventually getting that knockout victory. Next up, we got Navajo Stirling going up against Ivan Erslan. I think this is a perfect matchup for the youngster Stirling to counter and be the more effective striker here against Erslan, who's just a little bit too reckless at times. Erslan might look to get this fight into the grappling realm, but I think Stirling will stuff that. And from there, I think we'll see Stirling land big shots and eventually line up that knockout victory. Next up, we got Modestas Bukauskas going up against Iwan Cutelaba. I do think Bukauskas is in the best form in his career as of late, and I think that will showcase once again here as he thwarts the power striking approach of Cutelaba, even nullifies the grappling we might see from Cutelaba, showcasing his cardio, technical striking advantage, and maybe even some of his grappling improvements from the offensive side of things to allow him to go out there and win this fight on the scorecards. Next up, we got Jessica Andrade going up against Jasudavicius. I believe this is a perfect stylistic matchup for the Canadian, as I expect her to really stay away from the power striking of Andrade, eventually work to get this fight to the ground, where she'll be enjoying a pretty big size and reach advantage. And from there, I think we'll see her get this fight to the ground, land those big shots from that top position, and eventually get a TKO victory. Next up, we got Mike Malott going up against Charles Radtke. I believe Malott is the technically superior striker here, and I think he can thwart the aggressive style of Radtke. Not a a whole lot of confidence here, and I think fight doesn't go to decision will likely be the best course of action in this matchup, but I still think the Canadian is going to be a tad slicker, and that will allow him to either club and sub Radtke or just get the straight-up KO here. Next up, we got Benoit Saint-Denis going up against Kyle Prepolec, who returns to the UFC after going 4-1 on the regional scene, comes in on short notice and tries to pull off a massive upset. Unfortunately for him, Saint-Denis is too much of a grappler for Prepolec, and I think Prepolec will struggle to keep his distance and keep Saint-Denis away from him. Look for Saint-Denis to wear Prepolec down and get that submission within the first round and a half. Next up, we got former champion Alexa Grasso going up against Natalia Silva. I think Silva's style will be too much for Grasso to handle here. Look for Silva to utilize her perpetual movement, lateral movement, range management, blitzing attacks to really frustrate Grasso, which will cause Grasso to walk into a couple big shots. And I think it will be clear that once this fight hits the scorecards, Natalia Silva should get her hand raised. Next up, we got former bantamweight king Jose Aldo going up against Ayman Zahabi. Zahabi has been streaking as of late. That is true. However, I think he's going to struggle against the Muay Thai approach of Jose Aldo. I think Aldo, even in losses, has shown he is still very dangerous in the striking realm, and I do not believe Zahabi has the grappling chops nor the strength to maintain Aldo against the cage like Mario Bautista did, and this should lead to Aldo leading the dance in the striking realm and eventually winning this fight on the scorecards. That leads us to our co-main event and the first of two title fights, as we have flyweight champion Valentina Shevchenko going up against Manon Fiorot. Now, Shevchenko has already come into the UFC as an underdog 3 times, and she's 3-0 in those matchups. And I expect it to be 4-0 this weekend as she puts together a better body of work as she competes with Fiorot in the striking realm. Maybe get some glimpses of success there, but ultimately, when she's able to get this into the clinch and grappling realm, I think Fiorot will struggle to implement her style, allowing Shevchenko to dictate the pace, grind this fight out, and win this fight on the scorecards, and still flyweight champion Valentina Shevchenko. That brings us to our main event, where welterweight champion Belal Muhammad looks for a first successful title defense against Jack Della Maddalena. Now, Shavkat Rakhmonov was actually supposed to step in and fight Muhammad here, but an injury has kept him out. Thus, Muhammad gets a much more favorable matchup. I think Muhammad's grappling style and high pressure, high pace will be too much for the striker in Maddalena to keep up with. I think we'll see Muhammad put together a better body of work, utilizing his grappling, clinching, wrestling, and even his high-paced striking to keep Maddalena on the defensive, and that will eventually allow Muhammad to continuously set up his grappling and grinding this fight out, winning it on the scorecards, and still welterweight champion Belal Muhammad. There you guys go. Quick picks for this UFC 315 card. Hopefully, we're able to cash some tickets this weekend. Reminder, there is a ton of regional MMA going down as well, which I'll be covering on the Lock of the Night Patreon page, or I'll also be dropping LFA and PFL Europe breakdowns on the YouTube page. So make sure you guys hit that subscribe if you haven't already, and come back to this channel later this week to see breakdowns on those, but not to mention all the other great segments that I have for this week's UFC 315 card. All right, I will see you guys again tomorrow for the Locky Trinity / Locky two-step free parlay, as well as the PFL Europe full card breakdown. See you guys then. Peace.